Hi, I'm Ross Jacobs and I'm in Iowa. I just finished a 4-day clinic just a few days ago, and the last 3 days I've been working with my friend and horse trainer Alan Kealey. So we're still here in Iowa, and I thought I might introduce you to Ellen a little bit. Some of you may already be familiar with her if you read my post on Facebook on April 4th, where there was a clinic report that Ellen sent me when she competed in a colt starting competition at the Iowa State Fair. And we'll talk a little bit about that in a moment or two. But first, I thought we'd just talk a little bit about Ellen. So welcome, Ellen.
Hello.
So how did you get started with horses? Did you come from a horsey family, or were you one of these girls from a little age always excited by horses? What's the story?
Well, I remember the one distinct moment that my mother took me to one of her friend's farms, and I got to ride a horse for the first time down the trail. And I was so excited by it that I just started getting interested in horses and riding.
So you've taken a certain direction with your horsemanship. How did you establish that? Where did that come from?
Yeah, so I started working at a trail ranch in Colorado when I was 16. And when I was done with that summer, I got a young horse that I wanted to start. And the lady that I got the horse from was a hostess of Buck Brannaman. And so I was always kind of searching for a better way to do things. And so that's how I got introduced to horsemanship.
Okay. You've recently just finished your degree, your bachelor's degree at college, just a few weeks ago. But you were studying, I can't remember, what were you studying?
Agriculture and
Okay.
society.
But you've sort of taken a different route from that. Was that a conscious decision, or have you just sort of fallen into horse training?
It was a conscious decision. I found myself at college just kind of exploring all the different opportunities that I could take. And then I got asked to come to this boarding facility, and I was really interested in going to all the clinics in the area and things like that. And so then I just started training horses for the public and really liked it and have been growing it since.
How's it going?
It's going well. I'm really enjoying all the different things that come in and all the different things that I get to learn from observing everything that goes on with the horses and the people.
So are you getting used to working hard for little return?
Yes.
Okay. I think I found when I was training for people, it was always hard work. It's always hard work. And what's the real payback? Because financially it's okay, but you're never going to be rich and famous from training horses. So for you, what's the payback?
The payback is seeing the change in the horse and, watching people, and I know that I can get a little better change here or there. Like that just really pushes me to really help people and help their horses. And so it's a huge payback to see changes mentally.
Which sort of brings me to the topic of the colt starting competition at the Iowa State Fair you did at the end of May. We talked a little bit, you had written to me, we talked a little bit about it beforehand, and I was sort of trying to encourage you not to get involved with it.
Yep.
So other than that you were just going to stick it to me, what made you decide to go ahead and do it?
Well, the first time I saw it was probably 5 years ago or so, and I was young at that time, and I was just getting interested in this sort of work. And I was like, I'm going to do that one day. I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to show my way of doing this. And then after that, I did the colt starting clinic with Buck Brannaman with my personal horse. And so that kind of got me thinking in that way as well. And then I applied for it last year, and then they asked me to come back this year and do it. And I was mostly there just to show my way of doing things and my technique, even if it was different or not the way everyone else was doing it.
So when you got there, clearly from the report you wrote to me after you had been through the experience, it was clear that you approached things quite differently from the other competitors. And so why did you do that? And how did you feel it worked out?
Yeah, so I felt like, or I feel like the typical approach in those kind of events is to flood the horse to get them to doing things that you want them to do. And I think a lot of it is also in the spirit of competition and, the short amount of time that you have to work with the horse. I took a little bit of a different approach. I just wanted to get the horse feeling comfortable being with me and just relaxing and letting go of some of that worry first, and then learning to be with the human instead of doing all these things to her to get her to do things. I don't think that was the most effective approach. So,
Have you had much feedback regarding your performance there? Negative or positive?
A lot of my clients came out to support me, which was really nice. And I got a lot of positive feedback from them because, they could kind of see everything that was going on at the event. And they noticed a huge difference in what I was doing in comparison to what everyone else was doing. And they've seen me work as well. So they were really able to get a good insight on that. And then also, the announcer and things like that at the event, they were all saying good things about it.
Have you had any negative response? Anyone quite critical?
Someone did come up to me at the very end after the finals. I didn't ride at the finals. I just did some groundwork, and I did all the obstacles just on the ground. And I had a lady come up to me after and was all confused, like, why weren't you riding? And all I had to say was she wasn't ready. And that was enough. And so I think she understood.
I feel in those situations, in those sorts of events, somebody like yourself who's more interested in first building a relationship with the horse and then moving on to getting the things done that you want a horse to be able to do. I think it's almost putting yourself in the lion's den because people come to see horses ridden and people standing on their back cracking whips. And it was quite brave of you. Did you feel pressured to change what you were doing because that was the expectation of a lot of people?
Yeah, well, the first day, it started on a Friday. So the first day there weren't a lot of people there. And I felt great. I was really settling in with the horse. I got some good things done with her. And I felt like it was going really well. And then the second day, there were a lot more people that showed up. And all the other contestants had their horses pretty well flooded to all the stimuli that was going on. And my horse was the only one that wasn't flooded and was still like trying to make it and be there. And so the biggest challenge for me was that day because I felt like, oh, well, I might have to flood her to help her feel okay at this event. But at the same time, I was thinking in the long run, that's not what's going to be right for her anyway. And it's just going to be a tough day. And it's going to be better for the horse in the long run.
Yeah. That's hard. I mean, you have a lot of talent and you have a lot of good intentions, but you were certainly the youngest competitor. You were the only female. Mm-hmm. So you had, most of those other competitors had 30 years plus on you in experience. So it's quite brave for you to say, I'm going to go out there and do it my way. I'm not sure at your age I would have been so brave.
Yeah.
So it's quite impressive to me that you were like that.
Yeah. I did think about flooding the horse. And then I said, no, this isn't right. It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right anymore.
Yeah.
So I won't do it. And it was a good test for me too, to really find that out about myself
Yeah.
as a trainer.
So we just said you were the youngest, but you're also the only female. Horse training is largely a male-dominated profession.
Yeah.
Do you feel that some clients or prospective clients look at you a little different because you are female?
Absolutely. I think at first, they kind of maybe look down on me and are less receptive and open to the suggestions and the feedback that I have for them. But I think ultimately it gives me an edge, because once they see my work and my approach and the change in the horse, then they really start believing in what I'm doing and they want to know more. And, I think a lot of men have the approach, or can have the approach, of getting it done or flooding the horse until they obey, and those kind of principles or methods. And so I think that when somebody sees me getting a real change, it's kind of inspiring to them that you wouldn't need to do that.
I remember when I was training horses alongside my wife Michelle, and we would get quite a lot of people would want to say, would Ross train the horse? Only because Michelle was female. Michelle could do as good or sometimes better job than I could.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this underlying bias behind women. It's almost as if you need to be tougher and stronger and bigger and hairier to be a good horse trainer. And I think people don't appreciate that. Really, when it comes to training horses, men and women are pretty much on an equal basis.
Mm-hmm.
I remember years ago, Ray Hunt at a clinic said once that he said women would be better if they had a little more masculinity in them, because they'd draw the line, they
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be so nurturing. But men could benefit a lot from having a lot more feminine in them, because they get too bossy and going to make things happen, and they need that little bit of femininity in them to overcome that. And I think that's absolutely true.
Mm-hmm. I think so too.
So what's the future for you? What do you, I'm not saying what is your 25-year plan, but you're here at this facility and you're training horses. What's your goal? Do you go to work at this for a while and see how it goes? Because you're very new to training for a living. It's very new to you. So you don't necessarily know what you're going to feel like about it in 10 years' time. So do you have a plan, a goal, and also I want to know about where you feel the principles you're trying to work, where you want to take those?
Yeah, so my goal is to just do the training for now and to really get a good, strong foundation there. And I also am teaching people and giving lessons and things like that. So I'd like to keep training and eventually, move into clinics as well. I'd like to have a good balance of both. So yeah.
Okay. So before we finish, I'm going to ask you a really tough question.
Okay.
And you may not come out smelling of roses about it. But if you were to watch yourself working a horse, what would be the one or two things that you think you need to work on most? If you were sitting in the stands watching Ellen Kealey working horses, you'd say, this is the thing that she needs to improve. What areas do you feel that is true of you?
I think for me, it's balancing what I do, because I think sometimes I'll either come in too quick or I won't come in enough. And so for me, it's finding that balance and following through to get the change that I'm wanting to help the horse achieve.
Well, in that regard, you belong to a large club, myself included. It's always about balancing.
Mm-hmm.
I think that most horse trainers, most people who are good with horses, have the necessary skill. They know how to get something done, and they see a lot. They have the level of awareness. It's that moment-to-moment judgment call
Yep.
about what do I do, how quick do I do it, when do I stop doing it,
Yep.
do I do more, do I do less? That's the constant challenge that you're always facing.
Yep.
And we're always making mistakes.
Yeah.
Always making mistakes. Every day I make a mistake with a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And it can't be helped, it's human.
Yep.
Well, I want to thank you. It's been great. It's been great working with you the last few days. I know we've got another couple of days to go, but it's been really good and I'm really enjoying my time.
Thank you as well.
Okay. So if you want to know a bit about Ellen, she has a Facebook page, she has a website, and I'll put those links on the discussion, the description below. And we'll come back and we'll do some more videos in the future. Good night, Alice, wherever you are.